Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. We're going to continue our sports betting series, and we're going to be talking about NFL power ratings and where to find them. I'm joined by Bryan Leonard and Tony Finn, and we had a question come. We always do this every week. We asked our guys on Twitter, if you have a question, we'll answer it for it. And this one comes from, where's he at? Guitar Rat 18. At Guitar Rat 18. Yeah, I figured you would. Sounds like this guy definitely likes music, and we know Bryan is got a very eclectic music taste. Right. He wants to know and learn more about NFL power ratings. Where can I find reliable power ratings? How do you, the pros, use power ratings? And what resources or books would you suggest on how to create your own power ratings? And then the last part of that question is, is it out of the realm of possibility for a newbie to be able to develop his own power ratings and be successful with them? So this is a big, broad question, but it all centers around the NFL power ratings. And I'll start with you, Bryan. I know you make your own numbers. Tony makes his own numbers. Do you go anywhere for, a comparable source or reliable places that you like as well?
Well, NFL power ratings by far are the easiest to make because you have a limited amount of teams. It's not like college basketball. Right. And on a given year, they're really, unless you have a totally, I'm wearing my Browns 0-16 jersey. If you have a team as bad as the Browns were when they went 0-16, or a team as good as the Patriots were when they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants, that's about the highest ranked NFL team I've had. You're going to have a difference between the best team and the worst team, roughly 13, 14 points every single year. So you just take the team that has the lowest season win numbers. But, it's a little bit different because you're taking a look at divisions, and certain divisions are weaker than others, New England Patriots, every single year. Yeah. But basically, that's how you can make it. And you can look at season win numbers. We talked in a previous video that we did. Cantor puts out NFL lines every single week of the season, and it'll keep it in mind
for the entire season.
For the entire season, keep in mind, I make divisional home favorites 2, non-divisional home favorites 2.5, but a lot of people use 3. So let's just say use 3. You just go through that and you say, okay, the Bears are 3 over the Packers, playing at home. Basically, they're saying those two teams are even, and then you just compare it that way, and that's how you make your own power ratings.
Tony, there are a lot of sources out there for people that don't make their own power ratings where they can go, get some power ratings, maybe get 2, 3, 4 sets, put them in a spreadsheet, and then you can tweak from there from the week to week and learn how to do it and see how theirs move each week and how you're adjusting as well. That would be a suggestion. What are some of the places that you would recommend that have reliable power ratings?
Reliable is subjective. First off, if we're going to talk about just against numbers, you can, like you said, you want to go to something public, you want to go to something generic, very vanilla, as we discussed before this video. Everybody has power ratings. ESPN, CBS, all the major portals, sports portals. I use none of them. Especially in NFL. We're talking about college, as Bryan discussed, it's much different. There's the parameters in the NFL with salary caps and drafts and compensation. All the variables that come into play make it fairly, even the worst team can beat the best team on any given Sunday. And we know that applies in baseball, but in football, it's a little more rare. But there's so many, if we're talking just power ratings, I would agree with you 100%. You would take a group that somebody said was reliable or somebody that suggested such, and for us to suggest such would be, there's just too many to go. And I would say that there's a lot more variables that go into just power ratings. There's matchups, there's injuries. Power ratings change. They're flexible and they're dynamic and they're volatile, as Bryan said. So it's week to week. And for the most part, spending time, knowing your team, knowing who's playing, who's not playing, is probably the most reliable power ratings you can find.
Well, and if you are looking for a source, I'm going to mention one here, and this is one that was basically the first to come out with power ratings for nationwide use, and that was the Gold Sheet. And as you guys know, we recently purchased the Gold Sheet. It's part of the WagerTalk family. 1957, and what I like with their power ratings is they give you the power rating, they give you the home field advantage, and they don't put a blanket number for every team. They do put different numbers for different teams, and they do the same in college basketball, college football, and that's important because stadiums, arenas, whatever, for sports, NFL, they're going to all be pretty close, but there are some that are, we know Seattle's a tough place to go into. Then you put those places on a Monday night or a Sunday night, and it's worth a little bit more. For me, I tweak it a little more for those national exposure games or the nighttime games, especially when a team doesn't get a lot of those. So you do a little tweaking to it. But Gold Sheet is a good place to start and go from there. What I suggest people do is find your sets of people that you do respect their work. College basketball, we all look at KenPom. Well, let's face it, that's
basically what the lines are anymore.
Yeah, but that's the basis starting point. But for me, when you've got all of these different numbers that you're looking at, and then I do my situational stuff, that's where I do that little intangible tweak for me, where is this team in a -1 or a -2? They're coming off a big game that they played their guts out and just come out short. That's not factored into the lines with the power ratings, those kind of things. That's where I do my tweaking. So everybody can find their own style of how to get where they want to set, where they think the number should be. And nobody says one's right or one's wrong. You do what you find is comfortable in that. But if you're just starting, it's a good place to follow and look at some people that you respect that have been doing it a long time.
The power ratings are basically, that's the first step. You go from that point on. So it's not the end-all be-all, but it gives you an idea on where the line should be. So if you've got a power rating and you've got the line at 4 and the line comes out at 1, you've got to go back. It's a tell. It tells you something that is wrong that's not there normally. You can't just bet the -1 without going in and investigating. Hey, maybe this guy's hurt. Maybe this has happened. So many teams, like other sports, play 4 games in 5 days, that kind of thing. So it's a starting point, gives you an idea on where the line was compared to what it is, and find out why it is different than what that number is.
All right, guys, great stuff. Hey, and don't forget, if you're brand new to WagerTalk, after your first purchase, you're going to get a $25 thank you bonus in WagerBucks. You can spend those any way you want. That's $25 in your account after your first purchase at WagerTalk. We'll be back with more at WagerTalk TV.